The floor shook under my boots before I even heard the sound. Dust fell from the cracked ceiling panels, and my ears rang from the last impact. I pressed my back against the twisted metal wall and counted my breaths, trying to slow my heart before it gave away my position. My name is Daniel Cross, and 3 hours ago my transport ship broke apart above this moon. I was the only one who made it to an escape pod. Now, I was alone in the ruins of a research station that did not belong to anyone I recognized, hiding from something that hunted in the dark corridors above me. I checked my scanner. The battery was almost gone. The air was thin but breathable, laced with a strange metallic taste that stung the back of my throat. Every few minutes the walls groaned like the whole structure wanted to collapse on top of me. That was when I heard it. A small sound, almost swallowed by the hum of dying machines. A whimper. I froze. My hand moved toward the emergency flare gun clipped to my belt, the only weapon I had left. I turned slowly toward a maintenance shaft half hidden behind a fallen support beam. Something was curled up inside it. At first I thought it was an animal, maybe something native to this moon that had wandered in during the crash. But then it lifted its head, and I saw eyes. Large, dark, and full of fear. Not animal eyes. Eyes that understood exactly what fear was. It was small, maybe the size of a child, with pale blue skin and thin limbs that trembled against the cold metal. One of its arms was bent at a wrong angle. Blood, if that is what to call the pale liquid leaking from its side, had pooled beneath it. I did not move. My mind raced through everything I had heard about this region of space. Rumors that an alien race here had been taught for generations that humans were monsters, destroyers who came only to take and never to help. I had heard soldiers joke about it before my ship launched, laughing about creatures who ran screaming at the sight of a human face. This one was not screaming. It was too weak to scream. It just stared at me, shaking, waiting for whatever it believed I was about to do. I lowered myself to the floor, slow and careful, so I would not seem like a threat. I set the flare gun down beside me, far enough that it could see I was not holding it. "I am not going to hurt you," I said, keeping my voice low and steady, even though I doubted it understood a single word. The creature flinched at the sound of my voice anyway, pressing itself deeper into the shaft, as if the metal walls could swallow it whole and keep it safe from me. Another tremor rolled through the station. Sparks fell from a broken conduit above us, and the creature let out a sharp, pained sound as debris grazed its shoulder. Without thinking, I reached forward and pulled it out of the shaft, shielding it with my body as more debris rained down around us. It struggled against me for a moment, weak as it was, its small hands pushing at my chest. Then the shaking stopped. It looked up at me, confused, as if it could not understand why I had not simply let the debris fall on it, or worse. "You're safe," I whispered, even though I had no idea if that was true. The station could come down on both of us at any moment, but right then, in that small space, it felt important to say it anyway. I carried it to a corner where a fallen wall created a kind of shelter, away from the worst of the falling debris. I set it down gently and examined its arm. The break looked painful, but not life-threatening if I could stabilize it. I had basic medical training from my years in transport service, enough to know what to do. I pulled a strip of fabric from my sleeve and began wrapping the injured arm, moving slowly, watching its face for any sign that I was causing more pain. It watched my hands the entire time, its breathing shallow and quick, muscles tense like a coiled spring ready to bolt the moment I made a wrong move. "I know you don't trust me," I said, mostly to fill the silence, mostly because talking helped keep my own fear at bay. I probably wouldn't either if our situations were switched. When I finished wrapping the arm, I reached into my pack and pulled out a ration bar, breaking off a small piece. I held it out, not moving closer, letting the creature decide whether to take it. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, a thin hand reached out and took the piece from my palm. It sniffed it first, then took a small, hesitant bite. Its whole body seemed to relax a fraction, just enough that I noticed the change in its shoulders. We sat there together while the station groaned and shifted around us. I kept watch on the corridor, listening for whatever had been hunting me earlier, while the creature ate in small, careful bites, glancing at me every few seconds, like it expected me to change my mind about being kind. Hours seemed to pass, though my scanner told me it had only been 40 minutes. The tremors slowed, then stopped completely, leaving an eerie stillness in their place. I used the quiet to check the corridor beyond our shelter. It was empty, the threat apparently having moved elsewhere in the ruins. When I returned, the creature had shifted closer to where I had been sitting, close enough that its uninjured hand rested near my knee. It was such a small thing, but it hit me harder than I expected. This was a creature that had likely been taught its whole life to fear anyone who looked like me. "We should move," I said, gesturing toward the corridor, trying to make my meaning clear through motion, since words clearly meant nothing to it. There might be a way out. It did not move at first, watching me with those wide, dark eyes. Then, slowly, it lifted its uninjured arm toward me. I hesitated, unsure what it wanted, until I realized it was asking to be carried. Its legs were too weak to walk far, especially with the pain it must still be feeling. I lifted it carefully, cradling it against my chest, the way I imagined someone might carry a child. It did not resist. If anything, it pressed closer, resting its head against my shoulder as I made my way through the broken corridors, stepping over fallen beams and shattered equipment. We passed through what must have once been a laboratory, tables overturned, strange instruments scattered across the floor. I kept my eyes moving, watching every shadow, every doorway, ready for whatever had been stalking these halls earlier. My scanner picked up movement twice, but both times it faded before I could identify the source. Near what looked like a landing bay, we found the source of the earlier tremors. Part of the ceiling had collapsed, blocking the main exit completely. My chest tightened. If we could not find another way out, we would be trapped here until my supplies ran out completely. I set the creature down gently against a wall and began searching for another route. That was when the sound returned, closer this time, echoing from somewhere behind us. Heavy footsteps, deliberate and slow, moving in our direction. I turned to see the creature watching the same direction, its body tense, small hands gripping the fabric of my jacket where I had set it down. Whatever was coming, it recognized the danger too. I picked it up again, moving as quietly as I could toward a side passage I had spotted earlier, one that seemed to lead deeper into the station rather than out. It was a risk, but staying still felt more dangerous than moving. The footsteps grew louder behind us, and I quickened my pace, my heart pounding in my chest. The creature buried its face against my shoulder, its small body trembling again, though this time I understood it was not trembling because of me. We reached a narrow maintenance corridor, and I ducked inside, pressing us both against the wall as the footsteps passed the entrance just meters away. I held my breath, feeling the creature's heartbeat racing against my chest, matching the rhythm of my own fear. The footsteps continued past, fading slowly into the distance, until silence returned once more. I let out a breath I did not realize I had been holding, and felt the small body against me relax as well. We stayed there for several minutes, neither of us moving, until I was certain the danger had truly passed. When I finally shifted to continue forward, the creature lifted its head and looked at me directly, its dark eyes meeting mine, in a way that felt different from before. It reached up with its uninjured hand and touched my face, gentle and curious, tracing the line of my jaw as if trying to understand what kind of creature would risk everything to protect something so small and so afraid. Then it spoke. The sound was quiet, barely more than breath, formed with effort in a language its mouth was not built for, but I understood every word. "I trust you, human." I stood there in that broken corridor, exhausted, covered in dust, uncertain if we would even find a way out of the station alive, and I felt something warm rise in my chest that had nothing to do with fear or danger. I could not help but smile. "Then let's find our way home together," I said, and continued forward into the dark, the small creature held close against me, no longer trembling, no longer afraid. Behind us, the station settled into silence, but ahead, somewhere beyond the broken walls and collapsed corridors, there was still a way out. And for the first time since my ship went down, I believed we would find it.